Making headlines first at 9. Big blow, Russia halts import of Ceylon tea and plantation crops. Minister plans to mitigate the situation by meeting Russian counterparts. The second phase. Election Commission says the stage is set for nomination paper submissions for the remaining 248 local government bodies. Enforcement measures. President Maithripala Sirisena appoints new organisers for the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. State of the Bourse. Expert laments the Colombo share market.
People need to pay close attention to what's happening globally.
United Nations lash out at latest US policy reforms.
I think the American dream is the American illusion.
Bringing you news and developments from across Sri Lanka and around the world, I'm Indivari Amuatta on Other Derana 24/7 first at 9. We begin with your top development tonight. Russia has temporarily restricted the importation of all agricultural products from Sri Lanka, including Ceylon tea, effective from the 18th of December. Russian agricultural safety watchdog Rosel Kuznetsov says that it took the decision after it found an insect known as the cupra beetle in the packaging of a consignment of tea from Sri Lanka. The Ministry of Plantation Industries meanwhile noted that Minister Navin Dissanayake will visit Russia as soon as necessary logistical arrangements are made and work with his Russian counterparts to resolve the issue.
Sri Lanka supplies around 20% of tea for Russia's tea market. In such a backdrop, Russia has placed temporary restrictions on imports of all agricultural products from Sri Lanka, including tea, from 18th of December. Speaking to Russian media, Ramas Chanturia, the head of the Rusty Coffee Association, said that members of Rusty Coffee, an association of Russian tea producers, will ask Rosel Kuznetsov to resume tea imports from Sri Lanka, but with tougher controls. Customs data show that Russia imported 141,300 tons of tea worth $436 million from Sri Lanka in the first 10 months of 2017. In the meantime, the Ministry of Plantation Industries says that this beetle is a pest in crops of grains such as rice and has never been associated with tea. Issuing a communique, it noted that the Sri Lanka Tea Board is of the view the specimen discovered in the packaging material may have remained in the shipping container concerned following the use of the container to transport grain previously, but not necessarily of Sri Lankan origin. It goes on to say that the present case is not a reflection on the quality of Ceylon tea. The communique further states that while imposing these restrictions on Sri Lanka, the Russian authorities have made it explicitly clear that they are of a temporary nature and will last only until the completion of negotiations and clarification of the situation with the authority of Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Sri Lanka Tea Exporters Association, Jayantha Karunaratne, was hopeful that the government would take immediate measures to mitigate the situation.
The Tea Board is taking the lead and picking up with Sri Lanka Russian Embassy in Colombo, and also, we are checking with them what is the issue and how we could solve it. We have still not been able to establish proper contact with the Russian side, but we are meeting, foreign ministry is meeting the Russian ambassador on Monday to ask him to maybe at least to suspend or, to stop this ban, because it's very important, that we should continue with our usual business with Russia. I hope we will get some positive results by next week. The Sri Lanka side is working hard to find a solution.
In the meantime, tea brokering Asia Siaka pointed out that the situation will have a negative effect on the prices of tea at the Colombo auction on Monday.
The impact of Russian buying on the Colombo auction is substantial. We are deeply concerned that the grade segments that they operate in will be weakened significantly. Now, this has, if the issue remains unresolved over a period of time, auction prices will come down and the price paid for bought leaf, that is the price paid to the farmer, will decline. Currently, bought leaf rates are at the highest ever in recent years, and many tea factories have purchased this leaf at a higher average and could lose significantly in terms of trading losses. Needless to say, many pure Ceylon tea value-added brands that are doing well in Russia would be hurt by this if the matter is prolonged over a period of time. Right now, we are quite happy with the speed and the intensity of the tea board and the ministry's action to try and resolve the issue. And we are confident that on Monday, the ministry and the tea board officials are meeting some of the Russian representatives.
The former chairman of the Sri Lanka-Russia Business Council, Hiran Karunaratne, also spoke to First at 9 and weighed in on the matter.
They have had major issues and loss of harvest running into millions of dollars, if I'm not mistaken, something around $7 million have happened in the past. So they don't want to take the risk of such a thing happening. This is a standard procedure by the Russian Phytosanitary Surveillance Authority. If any such thing is found, to stop imports of that particular item from that particular country. We certainly should take measures to eliminate this kind of thing happening and minimize, the risks. So this is the crux of the matter.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said that he will take up issues pertaining to the tea industry with President Maithripala Sirisena, relevant ministers and officials in the near future. He made this remark at an event held in Ratnapura this morning.
I will discuss issues pertaining to the tea industry, including tea prices, with the Minister of Plantations and Southern Development and the President.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party made new appointments for several electorates, while new district organisers were also appointed today. The event to mark the appointments was held under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena today.
The event to declare appointments for electorates and posts of SLFP district organiser was held at the President's residence in Colombo this morning. M.S.M. Sakawulla was appointed as the co-organiser of the Negombo electorate. Dr. Indugunathilaka, M. Nihal Vijayananda and G.K. Upali Chandrasena were appointed as district organisers for Ratnapura. Meanwhile, Kshatriya Rajaputra Vijay Singha and Mahinda Bandara Bakmiwewa have been appointed as district organisers for Kurunegala. Anil Chandranath Veeraman was appointed as the district organiser for Matara, while Y.G. Bandula Sarat Kumara was appointed as the district organiser for Digamadulla. Meanwhile, UNP Deputy Chairman of Maha Oya Pradeshya Sabha K.T. Senaratne and member of Maha Oya Youth Organisation of UNP RMCM Gnanaratne pledged their support to President Sirisena at the President's residence this morning.
The Election Commission urges all political parties to take necessary measures towards avoiding the rejection of their nomination papers. It comes at the heels of 6 nomination papers of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and 2 of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party being rejected. The Election Commission adds that the stage is set for the submission of nomination papers for 248 local government bodies starting Monday.
Nominations can be submitted to all district secretariats, which will be given police protection. The police headquarters says that 6 complaints were reported during the period from last Saturday to 6 a.m. today pertaining to local government elections. They added that 2 complaints came within the past 24 hours from the Murugahena and Ampara police divisions. A special unit is established at the police headquarters to handle complaints. In the meantime, major political parties continue to deposit bonds for the 248 local government bodies. Meanwhile, various views were expressed on the local government elections across the political arena.
Those who are leaving the party have been planning to do so for months. They will be able to see whether the public is with him or not after the election. After the election, we'd be able to see what sort of a fate the UNP will face. We hope to do the election in a legal manner, but we are also ready to face whatever other challenges that may come our way. We've always been flexible, and they assume that's our weakness. The party established by parliamentarian G.L. Pires will surely be dissolved. The SLFP and the UPFA will be stronger after this election. There was always reconciliation in the country. This new concept of reconciliation has begun as per the need of former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga so that they could get more money and credit for themselves. I oppose that. We only asked them to leave their ministerial positions to join with us. But they refused. They want both the ministerial positions as well as former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. 6 nominations submitted by the party represented by the symbol of the flower bud were rejected. How can those who cannot even fill a nomination paper govern a country?
The 29th medical camp in the Derana Medical Camp series was worked off today at the headquarters of the Sri Lanka Eye Donation Society in Colombo. The camp was held in line with the National Eye Donation Day, which falls on the 18th of this month.
The medical camp is a joint effort of the Sri Lanka Eye Donation Society, the Ministry of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine and Derana. The camp is also supported by Sedum Private Hospital and the Maharagama Cancer Hospital. Clinics for diseases including cancer as well as heart, kidney, dental, pediatric and psychiatric disorders were conducted today, while an outpatient department was also seen in operation. Eye examinations and distribution of spectacles were carried out free of charge. Patients with cataracts were registered to undergo surgeries.
I had a kidney checkup and an eye checkup. I was able to get a pair of spectacles and I even had one of my teeth extracted. This service is so valuable. We wish that Derana will be able to continue this service.
It's time now to take a look at other stories making news tonight.
Police arrested 2 persons for poaching at the Ridhiyagama Safari Park in Ambalanthota yesterday. 5 persons were injured in a motor accident in Moldigoda, Vaduwa this morning. The injured were admitted to the Pandura Base Hospital. Police arrested a suspect for luring women into prostitution under the guise of offering foreign employment in Kalevela. He was placed under remand custody after being produced before the Dambulla Magistrates Court. A collision involving a 3-wheeler along the Dambulla-Kandalama road left 1 person injured.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
In your business segment, CEO of China's Tianjin Rockcheck Investment Group, Xi Xuan, says they have found that setting up a large-scale raw material facility is feasible in Sri Lanka. During a business visit to Sri Lanka, he also added that they have seriously looked at setting up export businesses in the island.
A Chinese delegation including CEO of Tianjin Rockcheck Investment Group Xi Xuan and several others were in Sri Lanka recently to explore investment opportunities. First at 9 interviewed CEO of China's Tianjin Rockcheck Investment Group Xi Xuan on their keenness to invest in Sri Lanka.
During our visit, we communicated with a lot of government officials and entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka. We, of course, need a feasibility study. I think a raw material mixing facility is feasible in Sri Lanka. That is one consideration. The other is the plantation sector, because we have plantation industries in China. We might attempt at growing Chinese herbs and tea in Sri Lanka and export those products to China and other countries.
In their visit to Sri Lanka, they also organized a cultural exhibition as a part of their initiative to build trust between the two nations.
This time, under the Time Memory Mission, we came to Sri Lanka to conduct a rock show exhibition at the Chinese Cultural Centre in Colombo. We brought a lot of our cultural products, which trace back to 1,000 years. The technology and skills are intangible heritage, not only to China, but for humankind as a whole.
Minister of Special Assignments Dr. Sarath Amunagama highlights the packaging industry as having a major role in the backdrop of Sri Lanka's determination to make the export sector a sizable contributor to national GDP. He said that packaging aids in finding new markets and it adds value to Sri Lankan primary exports, helping expand the industry. Minister Amunagama was speaking at the Lanka and Asia Star Awards night organised by the Sri Lanka Institute of Packaging recently.
One of the main objectives in our budget and in our development strategy is to improve our exports. Unfortunately, during the last 2 decades, there has been a decline in exports in terms of our GDP. There may have been real growth, but as a ratio to GDP, it is declines. But when you think of the hub status, we are investing in harbours, in airports, infrastructure projects. So in that, export promotion is a major requirement in our country. I find, for example, tea is one of the major areas in which packaging plays a role in exports. So it's very important that the packaging industry works in a very modern way to help in adding value to our primary products as well as other products that are made in this country.
Business cycle analyst Dr. Kenneth De Silva says that the overall trend of the Colombo Stock Exchange is negative owing to uncertainty in economic policies and high interest rates. He added that close attention should be paid to the Colombo stock market due to the decline of fixed capital formation. During the week, the all-share price index and the S&P SL20 index lost 0.36% and 0.55% respectively.
The all-share price index is at around 6,513. This particular level is a crucial level because if this level gives way, we could see the stock market testing the low of 6,000 in the all-share price index. What's driving this decline is that the uncertainty in the economic policies that have been carved out, and also as a result of high interest rates, which is eating into earnings. Apart from that, we find company earnings and profitability also seem to be now declining with the fundamentals of the economy deteriorating further. Therefore, the overall trend of the Sri Lankan stock market is still negative. We need to watch out for this because market capitalization to GDP is around 22%, which is not too high, but it is nevertheless undervalued. From that point of view, it might be an opportune time to look at longer term value stocks and growth stocks so that you could pick up decent companies at a fairly good fair value. For the more intraday trader and the shorter term trader, the trend is still pretty much negative. When you look at stock markets in relation to market capitalization to GDP, currently the global stock markets are reaching market capitalization to GDP of around 98.4%. The current global stock markets also seem to be reaching that rather alarming point of inflection. For simple reason is that we find global fixed capital formation is gradually declining while the market cap seems to be increasing.
British Finance Minister Philip Hammond says that it is likely Britain will want to negotiate a bespoke arrangement for a future trade deal with the European Union rather than copying existing arrangements like the Canada-EU deal. The European Union agreed to move Brexit talks yesterday onto trade and a transition pact, but some leaders caution that the final year of divorce negotiations before Britain's exit could fraught with peril.
The UK is a large economy. We have a level of trade and commercial integration with the EU 27, which is unlike the situation of any trade partner that the EU has ever done a trade deal with before. It is likely that we will want to negotiate specific arrangements, bespoke arrangements that reflect the long and close trading history. So I expect that we will develop something that is neither the Canada model nor an EEA model.
And US Republicans from both houses of Congress have revealed their joint bill for the biggest overhaul of the country's tax system in 3 decades. US President Donald Trump campaigned on a pledge to cut taxes, and passing the legislation marks a significant victory for him. Trump says he wants the bill signed into law before Christmas.
Yesterday's agreement between the House and the Senate came after hours of talks in which the bill's supporters succeeded in winning over wavering Republicans. The Senate and the House of Representatives, which both have Republican majorities, are due to vote on the measures next week.
I know everyone's lives will be better off under tax reform because of the tax relief families get. And again, this is all about also bringing back jobs from overseas.
Democrats argue the tax cuts will favor only the rich, while analysts charge it adds over $1 trillion to the country's national debt. The reforms were also criticized by UN Rapporteur for Poverty and Human Rights, Professor Philip Alston, who said they could dramatically worsen social inequality in the US.
I think the American dream is moving fairly rapidly towards the American illusion because social mobility in this country is now extremely low by any Western standards. If you're born in poverty, guess where you're going to end up? In poverty.
US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said North Korea must earn its way back to the table by ceasing threatening behavior for negotiations between the two countries to restart. The remarks made at a UN Security Council session yesterday are a U-turn from comments made earlier this week when Tillerson said the US was ready to take any time North Korea wished.
US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson told the UN Security Council that diplomatic options remained open, but that the US would not bow to North Korean conditions for negotiations.
A sustained cessation of North Korea's threatening behavior must occur before talks can begin. The pressure campaign must and will continue until denuclearization is achieved.
North Korea wants to be recognized as a nuclear weapon state on its own terms and conditions. Our answer should be absolutely no.
However, addressing the UN Security Council, North Korean ambassador to the United Nations, Ja Song-nam, ignored Tillerson's request, instead accusing the US of continuing nuclear proliferation.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news from around the world.
Rahul Gandhi today succeeded his mother, Sonia Gandhi, as the leader of India's opposition Congress party after she retired from her post. Rahul Gandhi was elected unopposed as the new president of the party earlier this week. Pakistan's Supreme Court has cleared opposition politician Imran Khan of failing to declare his assets, an offence which could have seen the former cricketer banned from parliament. He was accused of concealing details of some of his properties and income when entering politics. Austrian Conservatives, led by Sebastian Kurz, reached a coalition deal with the Anti-Immigration Freedom Party yesterday, paving the way for Austria to become the only Western European country with a far-right party in government. Kurz's People's Party won the election with a hard line on immigration but failed to obtain an overall majority. South Africa's governing African National Congress is preparing to choose a new party leader to succeed President Jacob Zuma. President Zuma can remain head of state until national elections in 2019, and whoever becomes the new ANC leader is likely to succeed him as president of the country.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Kicking off the 7th week of the 2017 Rugby League, CHNFC won their encounter against Sri Lanka Navy at the Racecourse Grounds in Colombo yesterday with a score of 27-24. In the meantime, CRNFC registered a massive win of 53-13 over Sri Lanka Police at London Place.
With an aggressive start to keep the scoreboard ticking, CHNFC and Sri Lanka Navy locked horns in the battlegrounds. CHNFC scored 27 points with a try, a conversion, a penalty and a drop goal. In response, Sri Lanka Navy could only collect 24 points with 4 tries and 2 conversions. In the second encounter between CRNFC and Sri Lanka Police, CRNFC won the match with a massive lead of 40 points. CRNFC's total of 53 included 8 tries, 5 conversions and 1 penalty. The total of Sri Lanka Police at 13 included 1 try, 1 conversion and 2 penalties.
And Australia ended the third day of the third Ashes Test in sensational fashion, with the 2 batsmen at the crease unbeaten with scores in the excess of 150. The home side ended the day on 549 for the loss of just 4 wickets, boasting a 146-run lead over visitors England.
Australia resumed day 3 at 3 for 203.
The Aussies started the day on 203 for the loss of 3 wickets. England had lofty hopes early in the day as overnight starter Shaun Marsh fell to Moeen Ali for 28. But from then on, it was all the mastery of the Australian duo, Captain Stephen Smith and Mitchell Marsh, the younger brother of Shaun.
Oh, it's played nicely, whips across it, Sean Marsh. He's starting to look good as well.
While Smith rotated the strike, Marsh was the enforcer. Smith got to his second double hundred to end the day unbeaten on 229.
The captain's through the 190s.
As he and Marsh overtook the highest Ashes fifth wicket stand.
At the other end, Marsh also looked imperious and scored his maiden Test century, ending the day on 181 runs, a double century well in sight. They will start the fourth day on 549 for 4 with a handy 146-run lead over England.
181, the hosts leading by 146 runs at stumps.
The emblems of the 2022 Beijing Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games, respectively named Winter Dream and Flying High, were unveiled in Beijing yesterday. Designed by artist Lin Kunzhen, the emblems combine traditional and modern elements of Chinese culture as well as features embodying the season or passion and vitality of winter sports.
With its origin in the Chinese character Dong, which represents winter, the Olympic emblem Winter Dream integrates the spirit of Chinese calligraphy and Eastern culture heritage with a modern global style. The Paralympic emblem Flying High, featuring an athlete-centered concept oriented around the Chinese character Phi, symbolizing flight. The emblem is an abstract image of an athlete who is fighting for victory, highlighting the spirit and inspiration for the Paralympic Winter Games.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Now, tomorrow's temperatures will average at around 27 degrees Celsius in coastal areas and a mild 21 degrees in the central hills. Now, a low pressure zone will develop during the course of the day over the central hills and the southwest. Widespread showers can be expected in the northern half of the country, while the same is true for the south with thunder showers in Colombo, Kalutara and Kandy. Now, the prevailing wet weather is likely to continue with the possibility of the northeast monsoon establishing over the island during the next few days. It's time now for the City by City forecast.
And that's all tonight. We'd like to take you to Copenhagen in Denmark to visit the Tivoli amusement park, which has been decked with 1 million lights and festive decorations for Christmas. Tivoli, which opened in 1843, is one of the world's oldest amusement parks and is one of Copenhagen's most popular tourist attractions. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.